Death Race 2000 started with a short story called The Racer. It was about a futuristic automobile race from New York to Los Angeles in which the drivers attempted to kill each other, drive each other off the road, and also could hit pedestrians or knock over anything in sight. And it was a very serious, vicious short story. And I thought, this would be kind of interesting if I turned this into a satirical, ironic comedy, but still held the underlying viciousness.
Clean hit.
It's a very satirical film, and I think ahead of its time in terms of, what it's saying about violence and the way we like it. It's a very cartoony movie, but it's cartoony in the best sense.
The movie isn't violent. The movie is funny. That movie isn't violent. That movie is a spoof on violence. What it does is it crosses a boundary. It kills an old lady.
Anyone, any sex, over 75 years old, has been upped to 100 points.
That's what everyone liked about it, the fact that you scored points for hitting people. If we did it today, we'd have to have the sacrificial girl standing in the middle of the road. We'd have to see her hit, bloody the windshield, and set the wipers going.
They're off! Frankenstein, holy Chrysler! Joe has just scored his own pit crew.
The cars really were, to me, very, very important. I went to an automotive designer and I told him what I was looking for with a theme for each car. The gangster car, the Western car, the Nazi car, and he gave me sketches which were wonderful. I then went to a custom car builder and told him I didn't have much money, but what I was going to do, I said I will buy used Volkswagens. And the reason for that was race cars had just converted to having the engine in the rear. And all I had to do was take off the body and have the coach builder build a new body, which didn't cost him very much money, because basically it was just a used Volkswagen.
A detour. I really needed that right now.
They mostly let the actors drive the cars, and there was no backup cars, no doubles.
The cars were probably the biggest expense because we built so many of them. But they were just one component. The biggest expense was probably David Carradine's salary.
The world doesn't want to be saved. I'm giving you a chance to save one small part of it. Yourself.
Who are you anyway?
Nobody.
David was just finishing Kung Fu. He was a very big television star, but wasn't that well known in motion pictures, and he was my first choice for Frankenstein from the beginning.
America loves you, Frankenstein!
I have to give Paul Bartel, the director, the credit for bringing in Sylvester Stallone. And as soon as he read, I said, this man is the best heavy I've ever seen.
Give it to them, Joe.
What, Frankenstein? I'll give you Frankenstein!
Matter of fact, I remember talking to my wife, and Julie said, he can be a leading man, too. And I said, no, I don't see him as leading man. I think he's just a good heavy.
What we got here is a race, a sporting event. Not some kind of daredevil stunt. I want some kind of protection.
You should have given us an escort right after Nero got it.
Mary Warrenoff was another choice of Paul Bartel.
My fans can wish me all the luck they want. My luck with my lovers gets any better, I'll miss the race completely. Isn't that right, Pete?
She had worked with Andy Warhol at the factory in New York.
Paul called me in New York and he said, you should come out here, I can get you in this movie. So Roger saw me, and then Paul called 2 days later and he said, oh, you've got it, you're in the movie. And the next thing I knew is they told me what the movie was about, and then Jane Rum started buying me this outlandish costume. And I'd already seen, Paul Bartel's Naughty Nurses, so I knew where he was coming from. I mean, that movie is just, highly outlandish.
There is no cause for alarm. The patient has been flown in from abroad in a state of suspended animation.
Paul Bartel was one of the most talented directors I've ever worked with. I was unfortunate that he died before his career really could take off. He started with me as a second unit director, and also he was very good with a kind of fey humor, and I thought he did an excellent job.
No more questions.
Oh, he was great to work with. He had a great sense of humor, and he saw the satire of it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Frankenstein has killed our cherished colleague, the deacon of the bipartisan party.
The audition with Marty Cove really was wild. He came and played the role gay.
Sit still, Cleopatra, and stop blocking me. My fans want to see me.
That was not in the original concept, yet at the same time it was so wild, and we wanted the picture to be wild. So we said, let's go with it.
You don't audition that way unless all of a sudden I felt it to be appropriate. I went for it.
You should have gone after that Boy Scout camp like I told you.
I tried a goddamn Boy Scout camp. You know how fast those Boy Scouts move?
I just played the scene just like this, and I just kind of like just screamed.
Bye-bye, baby. Hello, 70 points.
I die midway through. If I wasn't so enamored by the whole process, I would have balked in. Why do I have to die? Because you hate dying in a movie early, you know. But it didn't matter because everybody was dying.
I want to get on the road, make a few more scores. My bloodlust is fading.
I'm almost finished, Calamity, sweetheart. We'll be back on the road in no time.
What you say? Blitzkrieg!
I was not involved in the first unit production, but I led the second unit.
You got 2 seconds to live.
And there was considerable action work done after the picture was finished. For instance, a scene where Stan Ross, the stuntman, was sitting on the edge of the broken away bridge. I had to go back in the second unit and had the car chase him up this creek and run over him and put a blood bag under the rear tires so it would foam up red. Paul had soft pedaled it a bit, and we hardened it up.
Frankenstein, stop the car!
Sometimes the magic works and sometimes it doesn't, you know. You're trying to create the future on, you know, $1.98. It's really kind of hard.
All the costumes were wrong. I mean, not wrong, they were just tight and crunchy. And it wasn't the first time I had worn paper and cardboard stuff.
The helmet was disgusting, but, you know, that was because it had to hide the stunt driver.
Very few of us had things that fit. But that's just the kind of movie it was. All these costume limitations of things being too tight and too plastic and too rough on the face gave the characters a need and intention to win and be ruthless.
What'd you expect? Another pretty face?
It's as if every character was uncomfortable. They needed to win this race, and then they could just go and relax.
This is Grace Pander from St. Louis, where Matilda, a dear friend of mine, is receiving a well-deserved rub-down.
Roger, he came down to the set because Stallone wouldn't even do that scene. And then Roger said, I am doing a tits and ass movie. They compromised and he had a towel across his ass.
If you want to drive again next year, Mr. Viterbo, you'll keep those opinions to yourself.
Roger knew what would succeed. These little movies always turned the dollar. You know, he has pretty strict rules. He doesn't spend a lot of money and he gets enormous bang for his buck.
There is an erotic feeling to the picture. It goes beyond the fact that there's a little bit of R-rated nudity and a couple of love scenes. I think there is an eroticism connected with violence.
Why do you love me? Because I kill people?
Scoring isn't killing, Mr. Frankenstein. It's part of the race.
I have a thing against violence. Roger talks about it being natural. It's attractive, yes, but it's not natural.
Stay tuned, racing fans. T-Video Satellite will bring every mile of thrills and spills into your living room.
On one level, the movie was very prophetic. What we show in Death Race 2000 is, to a large extent, the way the world has gone and the way the world will continue as long as we are the people we are.
Once again, Mr. President,
I have given you the Transcontinental Road Race, which upholds the American tradition of no holds barred.
No holds barred. Hypocrite pig, what about our ultimatum? Passive resistance means nothing to him.
We never had a good ending to the film. And it was Beverly Gray, our assistant story editor, who said, why don't we have Frankenstein kill the president? And I said, you're absolutely right. That's the way to end the picture.
Frankenstein.
As to political orientation or politically correct, we never thought about that. It just seemed to us the ideal ending to the picture.
Mr. and Mrs. President Frankenstein,
This is moderately satirical and a pseudo-political film. It took years for people to see that. It had to become an old picture and respected as a result before people saw that clearly. It's a strange phenomenon. It's the cheap B pictures that hold up and the A pictures that fade away.
They become these weird cult things, and that's what I am. I'm a cult queen.
The reaction was wonderful. Most of my films have been successful, but this one was a smash hit from the beginning for a low-budget film.